I grew a six-figure business when I was 50 years old. I grew a very successful coaching business and built it to six figures within less than 2 years. My name is Stacey Brass-Russell. I live in New York City, New York, and I am a transformational life and business coach and content strategy expert. I started my business when I was transitioning out of owning a yoga studio. So a little bit of backstory. I started my working life, my career, when I was 10 years old. I was in the original production of Annie on Broadway. And at that time, I never thought that I would do anything other than be an actress, be a performer, be on stage. And that's what I did do for the first couple of decades of my life. And then when I was around 30 years old, I was here in New York City auditioning. And while I wasn't working in a show, I was doing what most actors do. I was waiting tables and working at catering jobs. And I just wasn't feeling that was something that I enjoyed doing. And I had started practicing yoga, and I had this great idea that I could teach yoga as a way of making money when I wasn't acting, instead of having to do this thing I didn't like, which was waiting tables and cater waiting. And so I got my yoga teacher training certification. It wasn't really intentional, but I shifted away from show business, and I ended up opening a yoga studio here in New York City with some business partners. And I did the yoga studio for about 7 years. And as many business partnerships do, the one that I was in just started to deteriorate. Like, the vision was no longer aligned between the three of us. And I just wasn't feeling happy anymore, really owning that business in that particular configuration. So when I realized that I wasn't really happy anymore in that particular role, owning a yoga studio, I got wind of the fact that there are people out there that are health and life coaches. What was really a wonderful surprise was that I started my coaching business, and within that first year or year and a half of having my business, I grew a very successful coaching business and built it to six figures within less than 2 years. I didn't set out to be a business coach, but how I became a business coach was actually quite accidental, but also a very natural progression, which was just after enough people were coming to me to be their coach, and what they really wanted me to help them do was be able to be more successful in their businesses. I kind of saw it as a sign from the universe, and I really dove in. I leaned into that, and I started developing programs for people who wanted to have successful businesses in the service-based industries. I had a lot of the yoga teachers that I had trained to be yoga teachers coming to me for help with their yoga businesses. And it just kind of grew from there. I'm very, very big on wanting people to know that they have everything they need inside of themselves. When I first started my coaching business, I actually had no idea how to have a coaching business. There's so much mindset that goes into really being able to do this, to really start your own business, to be an entrepreneur, to put yourself out into the world, to be visible, to have confidence that, like, what you're here to do, that people want it, that your message matters. So there's a lot of life and mindset work that we get to do in order to show up fully. A couple of months ago, I decided to create an episode about the 5 beliefs that you need to think in order to set yourself up for success, the 5 beliefs you need to have. And what this came out of is, many years of coaching so many people to, have businesses, to follow their passion, to follow their dreams, to believe that they can use their gifts and their skills and their talent to, to do what they want to do the work. I call it to do the work that lights them up and to make money doing it. So the first belief is you are pre-certified by the universe. You are pre-certified by the universe. And the reason why I made this as the number one agreement in the Academy was because so many people who want to create their next chapter, who want to do what I've done and evolve from, like for me, it was from actor to yoga teacher to highly successful coach. A lot of times there's a lot of imposter syndrome in there. If you don't have your doctorate in something or you didn't get a master's degree in something, but you still know that you have talent and that you have enough experience to really offer a service to someone. I've watched so many even yoga teachers and coaches who get certifications versus, again, like a college degree in something. I've watched so many people shrink and play small because they think that that they don't have enough certifications or that they don't have enough, that other people aren't going to think that they are enough of an expert. The second belief is that you know how, or you might put it in the I know how. I know how. Why did I create this belief? I created this belief or agreement that we would believe this because of how many people are held back from doing big things, from making big changes, from taking that step to do the thing that you really want to do because your brain is saying, but I don't know how to do that. So here's the thing, anything that you've never done before or have never had before, right? Like I never had a multiple six-figure business. So in the beginning, I could have been held back by the belief of, I don't know how. I don't know how to have that. I've never had it before. I don't know how to have that. The third belief is service is your superpower. So this belief, I put it in here because of how many people wake up with their, newish businesses, whether it's year 1 or year 3, and think, I don't know what to do today. I don't know what to do in my business. I don't know how to create a client. This goes back to the I don't know how as well. I don't know how to create a client. I'm not sure where I should be putting my focus. And what I tell everyone that I work with and what we all know in the Academy is when in doubt, be in service. The fourth belief is you are always right on time. I am always right on time. And what that means is the human brain is going to sabotage you with all kinds of thoughts about that you're behind, that you look over there and you see someone else is already so much more successful than you. And so you start judging yourself, the comparing and the despairing, or the thinking that you're too old, right? I started this business when I was 50 years old. If I didn't have the belief that I am always right on time, I could easily have sabotaged myself by thinking, I'm too old to make another change. I'm too old to start a business. And then the fifth belief that we should all put into our brain is abundance is my birthright. Abundance is our birthright. And when I say abundance, I don't mean only money, although that helps. But I work with a lot of people who show up in a lot of scarcity and a lot of fear. And everybody's always wanting more money mindset. Everybody wants money mindset work, right? And what I teach is, hey, listen, money mindset is more than just literally about money. It's about understanding that money is energy and that energy is abundant. If there's anything I've learned, it's that it takes time, that there's no overnight success. There's no quick fix. There's no, none of those things work. And so the most important thing that I've learned is that the investing of time, energy, and money into what it is that you are doing is what you should focus on. And there's another big thing that I've learned. which is that business ebbs and flows. There's no way for everything to always stay like at the same level of energy, at the same level of revenue generating, at the same level of activity. That wouldn't even be in sync with like the natural rhythms of the universe. Life is busy, but one of the things that keeps me in balance and healthy and sane with my mindset and my lifestyle is that I have a very, very committed morning routine. When I was first coaching, if someone could only work with me at, 8 at night, I would still say, okay, great. I still want you to be my client. Over the years, I don't want to work at night, and I don't want to work early in the morning, and I don't want to work on the weekends, right? So I'm very lucky. I've been able to over time craft the schedule that I want. And one of the things that includes is that I don't make any appointments if I can avoid it before 11 a.m. my time. And the reason for that is so that in the morning I can have, and I get up early, and that I can have my routine of drinking. I drink water first thing when I wake up, and I spend time visualizing and doing some meditating. Sometimes I do a little journaling. Sometimes I do a little work. Sometimes I do something creative. I exercise. I need that robust time in the morning to do whatever mindset. Sometimes I listen to an abundance meditation, right? To do the mindset, to do the physical, to take care of myself first before I go out into the world and deal with other people and have obligations. Some of the other key tips for me about managing a work-life balance is that I am very controlling of my calendar. And so, for example, whenever I make a plan, like a social plan, right, I always look at what's going on all the days before and after that, business-wise and personally, so that I never end up in a situation where I've overscheduled myself and now I'm having anxiety and, feeling stressed out because I've got a big thing coming up in my business and I don't have time to do what I need to do because I'm overcommitted. The biggest mistake is thinking that you need anything outside of yourself to start with, other than knowing what you do, knowing who your ideal client is, and then making every effort that you can to connect with those people.